The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors calls off strike, effective from Wednesday, 6th of October. Plus, World Space Week commences today with emphasis on women in space technology and satellites to improve lives. These and more you get from us on Panorama today. Welcome, I'm Ruth Aguele. All right, let's begin by telling you that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has called off its ongoing strike. In a statement, NARD President Godiya Ishaya revealed that the ongoing strike had officially been called off and that the decision was taken after a meeting with delegates of the Nigerian Medical Association and NARD. Ishaya noted that NMA mandated the National Officers Committee to ensure the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the federal government on August 21, while the association also asked the NOC to report back to the National Executive Council of NMA periodically on the progress being made on implementing the Memorandum of Understanding. Recall that the doctors in August embarked on strike following a disagreement with the federal government over some unresolved issues. The World Bank States Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Program, created by the federal government, has begun to assess the program of states. In Edo State, the communications specialist of the program coordination unit, Ibrahim Mohammed, led a media team on a tour of agencies in the state to take a look at processes, operations and procedures that led to achievement of results so far attained. Let's get details from Uduagbong Achibong.
2019 emerged one of the best performing states in the 2019 annual performance assessment by CIFTAS. The media team from the Federal Ministry of Finance took their tour to some agencies in the state, including Edo State Geographic Information Service, Edo GIS, Edo State Internal Revenue Service, Edo State Public Procurement Agency, as well as the Office of the Accountant General of Edo State. Interaction cut across disbursement-linked indicators of CIFTAS achieved by the state in the areas of property and building enumeration, improved revenue generation, e-procurement, and budget transparency.
For example, the pension arrears as at 2018 when we started was 2.6 billion. If you look at our financial statement of 2020, it was already reduced to 522 million. And as at the first quarter of 2021, we had paid off that, that liability. So that is the extent to which the program has encouraged the state, to do better in managing government finances.
Ibrahim Mohammed, who represented the National Program Coordinator, Stephen Okon, wants other states to emulate best-performing states like Edo and adopt good fiscal behavior for desired results.
Beyond the disbursements, what happens after the lifespan of these CIFTAS, which is going to terminate in 2022. So we want continuity. That's why there are these institutional, legal, and system reforms put in place.
There were attestations to the impact of CIFTAS in terms of prompt payment of entitlements. CIFTAS is an agreement between the federal government and the World Bank designed to increase and strengthen fiscal capabilities of participating states. In Benin, Uduagbong Achibong, NTA News.
Following the emergence of Akwa Ibom State Bureau of Public Procurement as the first in this year's Freedom of Information Act compliance and transparency ratings, a public and private development center, a non-governmental organization, says the rating is to further encourage access to information. Clement Bariki reports that this came to the fore at the unveiling of the Subnational Freedom of Information Act compliance in Uyo.
Enacted in May 2011, the Freedom of Information Act requires all government ministries, departments and agencies and the private sector to proactively disclose information about their organizations to any person who seeks for such data. Unfortunately, since the enactment of the Act, not much have been achieved in the area of information accessibility. Deliberating on the theme, the right to know the Akwa Ibom experience, discussants regretted that Akwa Ibom State is still far behind in complying with the Act.
We'll rank them according to one, proactive disclosure, that's having their information on their websites. Two, level of disclosure.
The concept of the right to know is just existing as a principle, but not in reality in Akwa Ibom State.
I've written several FOI requests to various MDAs of the Akwa Ibom State government. The only thing I get is just acknowledgement.
I would use this opportunity to urge the state government to begin to look towards the direction of voluntary disclosure.
In Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
All right, let's look at space technology. On the 4th of October 1957, the first artificial satellite was launched, that is Sputnik 1. And today actually marks the commencement of the World Space Week, held annually to celebrate the contribution of space science and technology to humanity. Now, the week helps to inspire students, educate the public about space activities, and foster international cooperation in space outreach and education. Celebration of scientific and technological advancements that have been instrumental to the betterment of human lives. The theme for World Space Week is Women in Space Satellites to Improve Lives, aimed at bringing more awareness to the issue of gender diversity in the space sector and identify the obstacles that women are facing when entering space-related careers. The week will also engage stakeholders on how the challenges will be overcome. Actually, we have a guest join us in the studio to look at the World Space Week as it affects us in Nigeria. Please help us welcome Engineer George Okpanachi. He is the National Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Space Engineers. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you also for giving me the privilege to be here to tell Nigerians more about space technology and the exploration in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Can I say happy World Space Week?
Thank you so much.
All right. So space, we know, is an integral part of the plan for Nigeria technological independence. So if we're using a telescope, what is the drive, the space drive in Nigeria so far?
Well, I want to tell you first that Nigeria is not doing bad in the area of space technology. Nigeria as a country has launched about 5 satellites into space: the Nigerian Sat-1, the Nigerian Sat-2, and the Nigerian Sat-X, which was wholly designed and built by Nigerian engineers and scientists. And as we speak, the satellites is still revolving in space. And also, Nigeria has built the Nigerian Communication Satellite 1 and also the Nigerian Communication Satellite 1R, which is a replacement for the Nigerian Communication Satellite 1, which we lost due to problem with the solar array mechanism.
Okay.
So, all right.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were done.
And also, about 4 Nigerian students, in collaboration with other students from Ghana and some other nations, built a CubeSat in 2018 in Japan.
Okay, so the goal is to aid socio-economic development for the country. Have we really harnessed, the use of our space technology to improve that?
Yes, I would say we have not done very well, and at the same time, we've not done too bad. I would say we've not done too bad because sometimes in August, precisely August 24th, 2021, when we had the 5th Engineer Brigadier General M.O. Agbo, retired fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers annual distinguished lecture and the 4th conferment fellowship of the institution, NTA, and the management staff were presented an award. That is, the DG in particular was awarded an honorary fellowship of the Nigerian Institution of Space Engineers, and Engineer Dr. Moses Ogbuokpanachi, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, was also conferred with the fellowship of the Nigerian Institution of Space Engineers. And this was done because through their effort and the rest of the management staff, NTA switched over from Intelsat to Nigerian communication satellites, which has saved a lot of money for the country. And also a compliance with the presidential directive on local content.
Okay, and let's turn our attention to women, which is actually the focus for this week's World Space, the World Space Week, actually. Yes. Women in space, satellites to improve lives. What is the role of women in space technology? Do we really have, more women going into that?
Yes, in the in the National Space Research and Development Agency, which is the focal agency in terms of space exploration in Nigeria, and the Nigerian communication satellites, women are doing very well in this sector. We have women in the ground segment, we have women in the mechanical engineering section, and we also have women in the satellite system department. And we speak, a woman is the managing director, chief executive officer of the Nigerian Communication Satellite Limited. And as an institution of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, we are making effort at exciting the younger ones, particularly the girls, about space, technology, and education in Nigeria, and we will have a program for them next week.
Okay, because I was going to ask you how far your institute has gone in encouraging more girls going to space. Now, when we have more women in space technology, showing interest, what would that do for the nation?
Yes, women are in every sector where we have women, they are not doing bad. And when we have more women in the space sector in Nigeria, it will contribute a lot to the socio-economic development. And it will also encourage our young girls to embrace not just space technology, but science and technology, which will contribute to the overall development of the sector, because there's no country that can move forward without it doing very well in the area of science and engineering. So if we have women in space, it will encourage them. And as part of this, I think in 2018, the Prime Minister of Canada, who is also a space tourist, was in Nigeria here and was also at the National Space Research and Development Agency to speak to not just Nigerians, but the emphasis was on girls' child education, and a lot of them were invited for that program at the Obasanjo Space Center.
What about investment in space technology in Nigeria? Are we really having that?
The government is trying its best, but their best is not good enough. Recently, the Director General, Chief Executive Officer of National Space Research and Development Agency, Engineer Dr. Halilu Ahmad Shaba, emphasized on this and called for a different approach to the funding of space technology in Nigeria outside the annual budget. So, and also recently during the Council on Space meeting chaired by our president, he called for a review of the space map in Nigeria.
So what's your message? This week is World Space Week. What's your message to Nigerians? How much interest do you want to see be given to space technology in the country?
I want to use this medium to tell Nigerians, not just the government, but the private sector, to come into the funding of space technology, as it has a lot to contribute to the socio-economic development of the nation. The satellites, as you said, as part of the team, Women in Space and Satellites for Betterment of Life, affects all spheres of our life, agriculture, to communication, to education, to weather prediction, etc. So the space has a lot to offer to the country, and I want to use this medium to call on private sector to invest in the sector, as it has a lot to offer the nation.
And of course, we want to see more women become astronauts. Thank you very much
for
your time, Engineer Okpanachi George. All right, let's turn our attention to other issues. The Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology stressed the need for African countries to push for modern farming techniques to close the food demand on the continent. Musa Baba Ali reports that the forum is advocating the adoption of biotechnology in food production.
The rains are becoming unstable. The soil is becoming degraded with low productivity as a result of climate change and insect infestation. These have therefore affected food production across the African continent, increasing hunger and malnutrition, as well as poverty among farmers. The introduction of Open Forum for Agricultural Biotechnology is to promote modern farming system that will resist challenges associated with weather and diseases. Rose Gidado is the coordinator of the forum. She says the country has made a significant progress in adopting the technology.
Biotech targets the poor resource farmers, so that they can access improved seeds. So for us to commercialize, to make it accessible to farmers, we need to have a safety valve in place.
2 agencies have been established in Nigeria for the purpose of promoting and regulating the adoption of biotechnology. Professor Abdullahi Mustafa is the Director General, Biotechnology Development Agency.
Mr. President, agenda is to secure the nation's food security. So this is in line with the federal government policies.
In spite of this, no farmer or organization is permitted to produce, process, edit, or market any kind of genetically modified crop without the approval of the National Biosafety Management Agency. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
You're watching Panorama. Let's go on a break. We're back.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Thanks for staying tuned. Police in Zamfara State, we here have rescued 16 more kidnapped victims. Jamilu Ibrahim reports that stepmother of the Speaker, Zamfara State House of Assembly, alongside her 3-month-old baby, kidnapped 8 weeks ago, were among the rescued captives.
The 16 kidnapped victims, including a 3-month-old baby, are the latest batch of more than 200 captives from across Zamfara State who have regained freedom within the past 4 weeks. 11 of the victims hail from Magamintandi village in Kauranamura local government area, while the other 4 are from Magare community in Zurumi local government area of the state.
The police were able to rescue the victims hale and hearty. They are all medically checked, debriefed, and will be reunited with their families.
Stepmother of the Speaker's Zamfara State House of Assembly, kidnapped alongside her husband more than 2 months ago, is among the rescued victims. Zamfara State Police Command is, however, silent on the fate of her husband, who is the district head of Magaria and Zurmi local government area, as the bandits were said to have kept him separately from the other captives. The police commissioner says a rescue of more kidnapped victims across the state is in the offing. In the meantime, the police and other security operatives in Zamfara State have succeeded in the arrest of a notorious armed bandits kingpin, popularly known as Bello Ruga, and some of his collaborators who had been allegedly terrorizing people of Gumi local government area of the state over the years. Things recovered from the suspects include assorted weapons, foodstuffs, drugs, and some jerrycans of petrol, among other exhibits. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Bring you an update on COVID-19. 74 new cases of the virus were recorded in the country within the last 24 hours, bringing the total caseload in the country to 206,138. Among the new infections, Lagos State has 36 new cases, Edo 11, FCT 9, Akwa Ibom and Sokoto 6 cases each, Delta 3, while Benue, Oyo and Rivers recorded just a case. 194,097 treated cases have been discharged, while the death toll is now 2,723. The evolution and implementation of an integrated response to health sector emergencies occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic is arguably one of the top 3 challenges that the country has faced between the early days of 2020 till date. In this special report, health correspondent Uche Ugochukwu takes a look at how the multi-sectoral interventions have assisted in addressing the impact of the global health crisis in the country.
There were weeks and months of empty streets and businesses under lock and key in Nigeria's commercial city of Lagos, Abuja and other major cities across the country. These were aspects of the narrative of the threat and impact of COVID-19 infections in Nigeria and the country's reaction following the incursion of COVID-19 into its shores. The plot of this story may have begun in Wuhan, China in December 2019, but the world quickly became the setting. Even now, more than a year and a half since the first coronavirus infection was detected in Nigeria, one still shudders from the uncertainties that trailed the public announcement and what the country has since lost.
And compliance is one of the keys.
This was the government's first step. A presidential task force, now Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, kept Nigerians abreast of public management strategies.
Because of our resilience, because of our ability to innovate, we're able to respond to these public health challenges. It's the same thing that we did with the polio eradication program.
While mitigative measures subsisted, the country also kick-started some actions, specifically targeting curative medicine. The Central Bank of Nigeria also offered grants to fund health-related researches in new and improved drugs, vaccines, and diagnostics of infectious diseases.
We have expanded our laboratory capacity from just a couple of public health laboratories to well over 140 now. We have built isolation centers in nearly every tertiary institution. We have also built molecular laboratories in every institution and intensive care units. So there's been a lot of improvement.
However, the viral disease ability to mutate resulted in the country experiencing a second wave of the virus in December 2020, and then the current declining third wave as shown by the daily NCDC figures. In the midst of concerns over rising cases of COVID-19 came the cheering news of the successful production of effective, efficient and safe vaccines against the disease. The second part of Health Report will bring you government's efforts at COVID-19 vaccination rollout in the country. I am Uche Ugochukwu, NTA.
All right, let's find out what's happening in the world of sports.
Former Under-17 World Cup player Ruth Aguele has been cut out to the Super Eagles squad for Nigeria's World Cup qualifying matches against Central African Republic on Thursday. The Union Berlin's Aguele will replace Temri Murphy. Murphy had been cut out to replace Alex Iwobi, who had to withdraw due to injury. Nigeria will face Central African Republic on Thursday at the Tensling Balogo Stadium, Lagos, before traveling to Cameroon for the away fixture on Sunday. Bayelsa Queens Football Club of Yenagua on Sunday emerged winners of the maiden edition of the Bessie Obaseki Women Football Tournament after defeating rivals Rivers Angels at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin, Edo State. The scoreline was goalless, prompting the center referee to call for penalty shootout, which ended in favor of the Bayelsa side 4-3. And two-time major winner Garabene Muguruza has boosted her chances of qualifying for the season's ending WTA finals next month with a comeback victory over Onus Jabba of Tunisia to claim the Chicago 4 Tennis Classic title. The Spaniard, a former world number 1, was down a set and a break, but fought back strongly to beat Jabba 3-6, 6-3, 6 love to claim a second title of the year and 9th overall. With sports updates, I am Omoyemi Unubu.